If you've ever looked at a complex project and wondered how some professionals manage deadlines, budgets, team risk, and still deliver results consistently, this is where the clarity begins. Project management is not just about tracking tasks or creating timelines. It's about structured thinking, smart decision making, leadership, and delivering real value. So whether you work in IT, construction, healthcare, finance, or manufacturing, projects drive progress. Skilled project managers drive project. So in this course, we will move step by step through the complete project management journey. We will start with the fundamentals, what a project really is, and how it moves through its life cycle. Then we will build forward planning, execution, monitoring, risk management, agile approaches, performance measurement, and professional ethics. And by the end of this course, you won't just understand project management concept, you will know how to apply them confidently in real-world scenarios and prepare yourself for PMP certification with clarity and structure. So here's what we will cover in this course. First, we will understand what a project is and how it differs from operations. We will explore the project lifecycle and process group, learning core principles from PMBOK 7 and modern PMI standards, building strong stakeholder engagement strategies, creating structured project plans, including scope, schedule, cost, and risk. We'll also see how you can use critical path, PERT, and earned value formulas, and then learn how to manage resources, procurement, and contracts. You'll also learn about monitoring performance using KPIs and change control. Next, we'll also understand Agile, Scrum, Kanban, and hybrid models using digital tools, automation, and AI in project management. We'll also learn how to apply professional ethics and prepare for the PMP exam. And by the end, you will have a complete 360-degree understanding of a project management from strategy to execution. So guys, before we go deeper into the technical concepts, let me share something exciting that can truly elevate your project management career. The PMP certification training by Simplilearn is designed to help you ace the PMP exam on your first attempt while building real-world project management skills. Now, as a premier authorized training partner at PMI, Simplilearn delivers a structured exam-focused program aligned with the latest PMP exam format and PMBOK standards. In this program, you will receive 35 contact hours of live instructor-led virtual training, which fulfills the eligibility requirement for the PMP exam. You'll also gain access to 12 full-length simulation assessment, premium practice questions, and a comprehensive exam pass study plan. What makes this program stand out is its focus on predictive and agile methodologies, along with exclusive masterclasses on GenAI in project management. You will receive cheat sheets, exam application assistance, and hands-on exposure to key tools like work breakdown structure, Gantt charts, and estimating techniques, and also mathematical scheduling models. If you're serious about becoming a globally recognized project management professional, this training gives you the structure, guidance, and confidence to get there. So what are you waiting for? Hurry up and enroll now. You can find the course link below. So before we move on, here's a quick quiz question for you. Which of the following best describes the critical path in a project? Your options are the shortest sequence of tasks in a project, the sequence of tasks that determines the minimum project duration, any task with the highest cost, or task assigned to senior team members. Take a moment to think and let me know your answers in the comment section below. So let's start with our first module. Now in this module, we will be diving deep into the core concepts of project management. Our journey will cover foundational elements, key principles, and essential tools that you will need to successfully manage projects from start to finish. So first, let's talk about what exactly is project management. Now, project management is a structured approach that guides a project from initiation through its closure. It involves planning, organizing, securing, managing, leading, and controlling resources to achieve specific goals within a specified timeline. Now, talking about project, the project is a temporary, meaning it has a clear start and end date. It is unique, aiming to create a product, service, or result that has never been produced before. The primary objective is to deliver value to stakeholders by meeting defined goals under certain constraints that includes time, cost, and scope. Now, one of the essential functions of project management is balancing these constraints effectively while ensuring that the end result meets the agreed upon scope, quality, and objectives. Now, without proper management, projects can easily go over budget, miss deadlines, and fail to meet quality standards. Now, let's talk about the characteristics of a project. So every project shares certain key characteristics. The first one is specific objectives. A project starts with clear, well-defined goal. Whether it is to develop a new website, develop a product, or implement a service, the objective provides direction for the entire project. Second one is defined deliverables. The deliverables are the tangible and measurable outcomes of a project. Let's say, for example, a project to develop software might have deliverables like software architecture, code, and user manuals. Now, these deliverables ensure that the project stays on track and within scope. Next is limited time frame. Now, every project operates under a very strict timeline. From planning to execution, the project has a start and end date, ensuring time delivery of results. Now, this is important because it helps set expectations and creates urgency for stakeholders. Next one is use of allocated resources. Now, resources such as budget, manpower, and tools are critical for the success of a project. Managing these resources efficiently can make the difference between success and failure. Then we've got cross-functional teams. Projects typically require input from various departments or experts. Now, this collaboration ensures diverse expertise is brought to the table, better problem solving and innovation. It also drives organizational value. A project should add value to the organization, whether by increasing revenue, improving efficiency, or creating competitive advantage. So these are the main characteristics of a project which needs to be included. Next, we will talk about some objectives of a project. Projects are not just about completing tasks. They must deliver value. The objectives should be closely aligned with organizational goals to ensure the project's outcomes contributing to long-term business growth. So basically, there are 4 primary objectives for any project. First one is deliver value aligned with business goals. Now, projects are initiated to support strategic priorities, whether it's reducing costs, improving processes, or launching new service. The project must contribute to these goals. Second, it should solve a defined problem or need. Now, every project addresses a specific challenge, right? The problem could be operational, technological, or strategic in nature. The project exists to create a solution that will help the organization overcome this challenge. Next, it should also improve processes, systems, or capabilities. Now, the projects often aim to improve the way things are done. Now, this could involve upgrading system, improving processes, or developing new capabilities that increase efficiency and effectiveness. Next, it should create measurable benefits for stakeholders. Now, project success is judged by how well it meets its objective. Benefits like cost saving, improved customer satisfaction, or enhanced productivity are tangible and measurable, showing the value the project brings to the stakeholders. Now, let's talk about the project versus program versus portfolio. We will explore the distinctions between a project, program, portfolio. Talking about project, the project is a single specific initiative with clear deliverables, objectives, and a defined time frame. For example, creating a new product or building a mobile app. Then we've got program. Now, program consists of multiple related projects which are managed in a coordinated way to achieve benefits that would not be available for managing them separately. Programs are often used to manage large-scale strategic initiatives that span across different departments or business units. Then we've got portfolio. The portfolio is a collection of projects and programs which are grouped together to achieve strategic objectives. The key distinction here is that portfolio aligns with the organization's strategic goals, regardless of whether the projects are related or not. Now let's talk about the importance and benefits of structured project management. Structured project management plays a very significant role in ensuring the success of any project. Now, here is why it matters. First of all, it minimizes failures and rework. Now, with a clear plan and structure in place, projects are less likely to go off track. Structured project management helps reduce errors by identifying potential risks and issues early in the process, preventing rework and delays. Second of all, it ensures alignment with strategy. Now, structured project management ensures that projects are aligned with the organization's strategic goals. Now, by prioritizing initiatives that align with these goals, you need to ensure that the project delivers long-term value to the organization. Next, it reduces operational cost. By efficiently allocating resources, scheduling tasks, and managing risk, structured project management can lead to significant cost savings. It helps avoid unnecessary spending, making the execution of the project more cost effective. Then, it also enhances transparency and accountability. A well-structured project management process ensures everyone is clear about their roles and their responsibilities. This promotes transparency, helping stakeholders see the project's progress and fostering accountability among the team members. It also builds organizational maturity. Now, when we talk about organizational maturity, it means that consistent project practice help teams develop scalable capabilities. Now, over time, this will elevate overall performance and readiness for complex initiatives. Now, let's talk about the project lifecycle and process overview. Now, this consists of 5 essential phases. First is initiation. This phase involves defining the project at a high level, identifying key stakeholders, and obtaining approval to begin. Then we've got planning, which includes detailed plans that are created in this phase. Now, this includes scope, schedule, budget, risk management, and communication plan. Then we've got execution. This phase is where the work is carried out. Now, tasks are completed, teams are coordinated, and deliverables are produced. Then we've got monitoring and controlling. Now, at the project progress, this phase ensures that everything is on track by measuring performance and managing changes. Then we've got closure. Now, finally, the project is formally closed by completing all the activities, obtaining deliverables acceptance, and capturing lessons learned. Now, one more thing to note here is that these phases often overlap and planning continues as new information becomes available, while monitoring occurs throughout execution. Next, let's talk about some key duties and responsibilities of a project manager. Now, this is really important for everyone to know. Now, the project manager is the one who ensures the success of the project. Their key responsibility includes planning, execution, monitoring, closing. They align teams, stakeholders, and objectives, ensuring the project delivers the expected value. Second is team management. The project manager is responsible for managing team dynamics and keeping the project on track. They must navigate conflict, allocate resources effectively, and keep the team motivated and focused to the end goal. The communication is also very important here. Effective communication with stakeholders, team members, and external partners is very important. The project manager must ensure everyone is aligned and informed about progress, issues, and changes. Now, let's talk about what project roles are included here. First of all is project sponsor, then we have got team members. PMO, which stands for Project Management Office, and then we have vendors or third-party partners. Let's now move into the overview of PMBOK 7th edition and PMI standards. The PMI here stands for the Project Management Institute, which is globally recognized authority in project management. It defines standards, provides certifications like PMP, establishes best practices followed across industries. Now, the PMBOK guide, which is the project management body of knowledge, is PMI's foundational framework. Now, the 7th edition makes a significant evolution here. Earlier editions were process-heavy. They focus deeply on inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs across the knowledge areas. But PMBOK 7 shift to the focus from process compliance to principle-driven value delivery. What it includes here is 12 project management principles, 8 performance domains, emphasis on value delivery, flexible plus adaptable approach. About rigidly following templates, it's about understanding principles, applying them contextually, and tailoring approaches based on project needs. These 12 principles guide mindset and behavior, including leadership, team collaboration, stewardship, stakeholder engagement, system thinking, risk management, adaptability, and change enablement. The 8 performance domains focus on outcomes such as stakeholders, team planning, development, approach, delivery, measurement, and uncertainty. The core idea is very simple here. Projects exist to deliver value, and project managers must adapt their approach, predictive, agile, or hybrid, to ensure the value is realized. Next, let's talk about some key project constraints. So first, we'll have a look at the traditional triple constraint. Every project operates under limitations. The traditional triple constraint includes scope. Then we've got time constraint. Then we have cost constraint. The scope defines that what must be delivered. Time defines when it must be delivered. And cost defines how much budget is available. Now, these three are interconnected to each other. Now, if scope increases, either time or cost must increase. Now, if the deadline shortens, either scope reduces or cost increases. A project manager constantly balances these trade-offs. Next, let's talk about the extended project constraints. Extended project constraints, but modern projects go beyond the triple constraint. Now, these are additional constraints we must manage. First, you've got quality constraint, then we have risk, then you have resources. Now, quality basically ensures that the deliverables meet agreed standards. Risk will reflect uncertainty and potential threats or opportunities. Then you've got resources. Resources mainly include manpower, equipment, and materials which are required for execution. Now, balancing all these constraints simultaneously is what makes project management both challenging and strategic. Now it's time to move on to our second module, which talks about project management principles and framework. So as we move into module 2, we shift from foundational definitions to the mindset that drives modern project management. Today's project environments are dynamic, fast-moving, and often unpredictable. Now, because of this, modern frameworks no longer rely purely on rigid step-by-step process. Instead, they emphasize principle-driven management, principles that guide decision-making across all types of environments, whether it's predictive, agile, or hybrid. They provide a foundation for judgment, adaptability, and leadership. Rather than asking, what is the exact process I must follow, the modern project manager asks, what principles should guide my decision in this situation? That shift is powerful. Next, we will talk about stewardship. Now, stewardship means acting responsibly and protecting the interest of the organization and its stakeholders. A project manager is entrusted with time, money, resources, and reputation. Stewardship requires ethical decision-making, transparency, and accountability. It means using budgets very wisely, making responsible trade-offs, and ensuring that decisions create long-term value rather than short-term gains. Now, when a project manager practices stewardship, they are not just delivering tasks, they are safeguarding trust. Next one is team collaboration. Team collaboration emphasizes on shared responsibility and open communication. Projects are rarely successful because of one individual there. They succeed because teams work together very effectively. Collaboration means encouraging diverse perspectives, promoting psychological safety, and ensuring that team members feel heard. Now, when collaboration is very strong, innovation improves, problem solving becomes faster, and execution becomes very smoother. Now, collaborative environment transforms a group of individuals into a high-performing project team. Next one, we'll talk about a stakeholder engagement. Now, stakeholder engagement is about identifying who is impacted by the project and actively involving them throughout the life cycle. Now, stakeholders may include sponsors, customers, team members, regulators, or external partners. Each has different expectations and levels of influence. Effective engagement means understanding their interests, managing their expectations, and communicating consistently. Now, when stakeholders feel informed and involved, resistance reduces and alignment improves. Next, we'll talk about the value focus. The value focus reminds us that projects exist to deliver meaningful outcomes. Not just outputs, completing tasks on time is very important, but if the project does not create measurable benefits, it falls its purpose. Now, a value-focused project manager continuously asks, does this activity contribute to strategic objectives? By prioritizing high-impact work and eliminating low-value efforts, teams ensure that resources are invested very wisely. Then you've got systems thinking. The system thinking encourages project managers to view the organization as an interconnected system. Changes in one area often impact others. A schedule decision might affect cost. A scope change might impact quality. Systems thinking prevent silo-based decisions and promote holistic awareness. Now, by understanding how different components interact, project managers can avoid unintended consequences. Then we have leadership. So what leadership actually does is, leadership in a project management goes beyond authority. It involves inspiring, motivating, and guiding the team toward a very shared goal. Effective leadership requires clarity of vision, emotional intelligence, and strong communication skill. A project manager must influence without always having formal power. Strong leadership builds alignment, trust, and accountability. Then we've got tailoring. Now, tailoring means adapting tools, process, methods to fit the specific project environment. No two projects are identical. A large infrastructure project may require strict documentation and controls, while a software development project may benefit from agile iterations. Tailoring ensures that project management practices remain relevant and efficient rather than bureaucratic. Then we've got quality management. Quality management ensures that deliverables meet agreed standards and stakeholder expectation. Quality is not inspected at the end. It is built into the process. Clear standards, defined metrics, and continuous validation prevents defect and increase customer satisfaction. Now, when quality is prioritized, rework decreases and credibility increases. Then we've got complexity navigation. Modern projects operate in environments filled with uncertainty and complexity. Complexity navigation means recognizing dynamic factors such as changing regulations, evolving technologies, and shifting stakeholder priorities. Now, project manager must remain flexible, analytical, and proactive. Managing complexity requires structured thinking combined with adaptive leadership. Then we've got risk management. Risk management involves identifying potential threats and opportunities early and responding strategically. Risks are not always negative, they can also present advantage. By proactively assessing probability and impact, teams can develop mitigation plans that reduce disruption. Ignoring risk increases vulnerability, managing risk increases confidence. Then we've got adaptability and resilience. Adaptability and resilience ensures that projects can withstand change. Scope may evolve, budgets may shift, stakeholder priorities may change. A resilient project team does not panic when challenge arise, recalibrate, and continue moving forward. Adaptability is a competitive advantage in fast-moving industries. Next, we've got change enablement. Change enablement focuses on helping stakeholders transition smoothly into new ways of working. Projects often introduce transformation, new system, new process, or new structure. Without proper communication and support, stakeholders may resist. Effective change enablement reduces fear, increases adoption, and ensures sustainable results. So now let's talk about why principles matter. Now, these principles matter because they provide consistency across projects while allowing flexibility. They support agile and hybrid practices. They ensure strategic alignment are done properly. They provide clarity in decision making. And most importantly, they keep project managers focused on delivering value rather than simply following procedure. Then we have governance framework. The governance defines how decisions are made and who holds authority of it. It answers key questions like who funds the project, who approves major changes, who monitors performance, and who escalates issues. Governance ensures accountability and transparency. Without governance, project risk, confusion, and misalignment may occur. Next is components of a project governance framework. A project governance framework includes policies, decision-making authority levels, reporting mechanisms, compliance control, and escalation path. It clarifies roles and ensures that risk and issues are managed systematically. Strong governance protects the organization from financial, operational, and reputational harm. Now let's talk about the project environment. The project environment includes all internal and external factors influencing project execution. Now these may include organizational culture, market condition, regulatory requirements, and political stability. A project manager must analyze the environment early to anticipate challenges and reduce unpredictability. Now let's talk about enterprise environment factors. Internal enterprise environments factors include resource availability, information system, organizational culture, PMO maturity, and internal policies. Now these factors directly influence how smoothly a project operates within the organization. Now let's talk about the external environmental factors, which includes economic trends, regulatory requirements, political stability, industry standards, and technological shift. Now, these elements are outside the organization control but must be still monitored very carefully. Now, let's talk about the integration management. Integration management ensures that all the project elements work together in alignment with business strategy. It coordinates scope, schedule, cost, risk, resources, and stakeholder expectations. Integration prevents fragmentation and ensures smooth execution across the life cycle. Now let's talk about some key activities in integration management. The key activities include aligning outcomes with strategic goals, coordinating major constraints, managing change systematically, developing the project management plan, ensuring benefits realization. Integration connects strategy to execution. So now let's talk about the key activities in integration management and components. So here we've got portfolios, projects, operations, products, and strategy. Now, a value delivery system connects strategy, portfolios, programs, project, and operation. Projects generate outputs, programs coordinate outcomes, portfolios align initiatives with strategy, and operations sustain value. Now, this system ensures that every project contributes meaningfully to organizational success. Now, let's move on to our third module, which talks about team building and leadership in project management. Now, in this module, we will focus on one of the most critical success factors in any project team. Now, even the best plan will fail without the right people and the right environment. Building an effective project team begins with clearly defined roles and responsibilities. When each team member understands what they are accountable for, confusion reduces and productivity increases. Ambiguity in roles often leads to duplicated effort or gaps in execution, so clarity from the beginning is very essential. Beyond clarity, teams must share common goals and performance expectation. Everyone should understand not only what they are doing, but why are they doing it. Alignment around shared objectives creates unity and direction. Now, when goals are visible and measurable, teams become more focused and result-driven. Trust is another cornerstone of effective teams. Trust enables open communication, constructive feedback, and collaborative problem solving. When team members feel psychologically safe, they are more willing to share ideas and admit challenges early. Accountability complements trust. A high-performing team balances mutual support with responsibility. An effective team also requires a right blend of skills and personalities. Technical expertise is also important, but so is collaboration. Finally, continuous feedback and collaboration sustain performance over time. Teams should regularly reflect, adjust, and improve their process to maintain momentum. Talking about leadership styles in project management, now leadership styles play a very major role in project success. A project manager must adapt their approach based on team maturity, project complexity, and organizational culture. Transformational leadership focuses on inspiring and motivating their team. Now, this style encourages innovation, builds enthusiasm, and pushes individuals to exceed expectation. It works especially well in dynamic environments where creativity is required. Then you've got transactional leadership on the other hand, which includes emphasis on structure, task, reward system. It is effective when process must be followed precisely or when performance standards are clearly defined. Now, this style ensures discipline and accountability. Servant leadership prioritizes the needs of the team. The leader supports, empowers, and removes obstacles so the team can perform at its best. This approach builds loyalty and long-term engagement. Then we have situational leadership, recognizes that no single style fits all the scenarios. A skilled project manager adjusts the leadership behavior depending on the team's experience, confidence, and project demands. Flexibility in leadership enhances effectiveness. Talking about motivation techniques, now motivating a team goes beyond compensation. Recognition of an effort and achievement significantly boost morale. Acknowledging contributions publicly reinforces positive behavior and it will strengthen commitment. Next, let's talk about providing autonomy and ownership. Now, providing autonomy and ownership empowers individuals to take responsibility for their work. When team members feel trusted, their engagement increases. Micromanagement often reduces motivation, while autonomy encourages accountability. Then we have skill development opportunities also drive motivation. Projects should provide learning experiences that contribute to professional growth. When individuals see career advancement links to project participation, they invest more effort. Meaningful and challenging work further enhances motivation. Assigning tasks that simulates problem solving and creativity prevents monotony, and it increases job satisfaction. The motivation is not a one-time action, it's an ongoing process. Then you've got conflict resolution. The conflict is inevitable in project environments where diverse perspectives intersect. Effective project managers address conflict early because it escalates. Identifying the root cause is critical, as a surface level disagreements often mask deeper issues. Encouraging direct and respectful discussion promotes transparency. Open dialogue allows parties to express concerns constructively rather than indirectly. Next is using win-win problem-solving technique, which seeks solutions that benefits all involved rather than creating winners and losers. This approach will preserve relationship and it will build long-term collaboration. Maintaining neutrality and fairness, a project manager must maintain unbiased, focusing on the facts rather than just personal preferences. Effective conflict resolution strengthens team cohesion rather than weakening it. Then you have negotiation basics. The negotiation is a fundamental skill for project managers. Preparation is the foundation of successful negotiation. Enter discussion with data, alternatives, and clear understanding of priorities, understanding interests, rather than positions is very important. Now, position is what someone says they want, and interest is why they want it. Addressing underlying interest often reveals creative solutions. Creating mutual value where possible strengthens not be about defeating the other party, but about achieving sustainable agreements. Finally, documenting agreements clearly prevents misunderstandings. Written confirmation ensures alignment, and it reduces disputes later. Then you have communication management. The communications is the lifeline for any project. A structured communication plan defines how information flows, who receives it, how frequently it is shared, and through which channels. Tailoring messages to stakeholder needs increase clarity and impact. Executive may require strategic summaries, while technical teams need detailed updates. Customization also improves effectiveness. Clarity, frequency, and transparency prevents misinformation and it builds trust. Communication should be timely and accurate to avoid confusion. Now, combining formal and informal channels ensures broader reach, while reports and presentations provide structure in formal conversation, often resolving issues faster. Balanced communication strengthens project performance. Then we've got stakeholder collaboration. Now, stakeholder collaboration begins early in the project lifecycle, engaging stakeholders during planning, ensuring their input shapes decisions rather than just reacting later. It builds trust through consistent updates, keeping stakeholders aligned with the progress and challenges. Transparency reduces surprises and strengthens credibility. It also addresses concerns, proactively preventing resistance. Now, when issues are acknowledged and managed early, escalation reduces. Maintaining alignment with expectations requires continuous dialogue, may evolve, and project managers must monitor and adjust accordingly. Then we've got managing cross-functional teams. The cross-functional teams bring together expertise from different departments. While this diversity increases capability, it also introduces competing priorities. Now, balancing these priorities requires negotiation and alignment around shared objective. Now, when departments understand the bigger picture, cooperation improves. Encouraging knowledge exchange strengthens collaboration and reduces silos. The shared learning enhances innovation. Unified performance metric ensures that when all the teams measure success using the same criteria, alignment becomes easier to maintain. Let's talk about how you can manage remote teams. Now, in modern project environment, remote collaboration is very common. Leveraging collaboration tools such as video conferencing, task management platforms, and shared documents ensures continuity. Frequent and clear communication compensates for physical distance. Regular check-ins maintain visibility and reduces isolation. Establishing availability norms clarifies response expectations. Defined communication windows reduce frustration. Promoting virtual team bonding builds relationship beyond the task. Informal interaction improves trust and engagement in remote settings. Then we've got emotional intelligence, which is defining trait of effective project managers. Self-awareness allows leaders to understand their emotional responses and regulate behavior appropriately. Empathy enhances understanding of team member perspective. Recognizing others' emotions strengthens communication, relationship management skills, builds professional connections, and foster collaboration. Now, in global project environments, culture awareness is very essential. Respecting diverse perspective and work styles enhances inclusivity. Understanding cultural communication differences prevent misunderstanding. Now, some cultures value direct communication while others prefer indirect approaches. Encouraging inclusivity ensures all the voices are heard in decision making. Avoiding assumptions and seeking clarification fosters mutual respect and stronger teamwork. Now it's time to move into Module 4, where we will talk about stakeholder engagement and communication. Stakeholder engagement begins with identifying who is impacted by the project. Stakeholders may include sponsors, customers, team members, suppliers, regulators, or even the broader community. Each stakeholder has different levels of influence, interest, and expectations. As a project manager, it's very critical to analyze their power, impact, and attitude toward the project. Some stakeholders may strongly support the initiative, while others may resist it. Early identification allows you to prioritize communication efforts and tailor engagement strategies. Now, if stakeholders are ignored in the early stages, resistance often appears later and becomes harder to manage. Understanding stakeholders is the foundation of effective communication. Talking about stakeholder encouragement strategies and mapping. Now, once stakeholders are identified, the next step is to develop engagement strategies. Tools such as stakeholder maps and power interest grids help categorize stakeholders based on their level of authority and involvement. For example, high power, high interest stakeholders require close management and frequent updates. Those with low power but high interest should be kept informed. Stakeholder mapping ensures that communication efforts are efficient and targeted rather than being generic. Next, let's talk about building trust and communication alignment. The trust is essential to stakeholder engagement. Trust is built through consistent, transparent communication and reliable follow-through and commitment. Stakeholders need clarity about project goals, timeline, risk, and progress. Managing expectation and change resistance. Projects often introduce change, and change can create uncertainty. Managing expectation involves clearly defining scope, deliverables, timelines, and constraints from the beginning. Unrealistic expectations lead to dissatisfaction even if the project performs well. Creating stakeholder engagement plans. Now, stakeholder engagement plan formalizes communication and relationship management. It defines communication channels, frequency of update, roles, responsibilities, and methods for tracking stakeholder sentiment. This plan ensures consistency rather than reactive communication. Now it's time to move on to Module 5, where we will talk about the project phases to process group. So let's first have an overview of the 5 process phases here. Now, the project lifecycle formally begins with the initiating phase. Now, this is where the project is defined at a high level and authorization is obtained to proceed. Now, during this phase, the business needs an opportunity which is clarified, objectives are outlined, and major stakeholders are identified. A project charter is typically created, documenting the process, high-level scope, key risk, budget estimates, and authority of the project manager. Now, the planning phase translates the high-level objective into a very detailed and structured roadmap, and this is where the scope is identified precisely, schedules are developed, budgets are estimated, risks are analyzed, and communication plans are created. Planning establishes baselines for scope, schedule, and cost that will later be used to measure performance. Then we've got the executing phase. Now, executing phase is where the planned work is performed. Teams collaborate to complete tasks, manage resource, and produce deliverables according to the approved plan. The project manager focuses on coordination, stakeholder engagement, quality assurance. Communication becomes especially critical during execution to ensure alignment and resolve issues very quickly. Then we've got the monitoring and controlling phase. So this phase occurs alongside execution and it ensures that performance remains aligned with the plan. Now, during this phase, actual progress is measured against baselines for scope, schedule, and cost. Variances are identified, analyzed, and corrective or preventive actions are implemented as needed. Now, the closing phase formally concludes the project. All the deliverables are finalized and handed over to the customer or operational team. Acceptance is obtained, contracts are closed, documentation is completed, and all the lessons learned are recorded. Administrative closure ensures that all the compliance requirements are fulfilled and resources are released appropriately. Now, although all of these 5 phases appear sequential, in practice they often overlap. Planning may continue as new information emerges during execution. Monitoring and controlling occurs throughout the life cycle, but not only at the end. Projects may revisit planning if significant changes arises. Now, this iterative nature ensures flexibility while maintaining structure. Understanding that process group interact dynamically, which allows managers to respond effectively to evolving conditions. Now let's talk about the deliverables and documentation at each phase. Now at the initiating phase, key deliverables include the project charter and stakeholder register. The charter provides formal authorization and high-level direction, while the stakeholder register identifies individuals or groups that must be engaged throughout the project. During the planning phase, major documents, which includes the scope baseline, work breakdown structure, schedule baseline, budget estimates, and risk register. Now, these documents provide detailed clarity and become reference points to the performance measurement. Then we've got executing phase. Outputs include completed work packages, deliverables, performance data, and status updates. Now, these artifacts demonstrate progress and ensures transparency across the stakeholders. Then we've got the monitoring and controlling phase. Now, this basically generates performance reports, variance analysis, and updated change logs. These documents will help track progress, document adjustment, and maintain accountability. Then we've got the closing phase. Now, during closing, the final reports, acceptance, documentation, and lessons learned repositories are completed. Archiving ensures that project knowledge remains accessible for future initiative. Now it's time to move on to Module 6, where we will talk about project planning essentials. First, let's talk about developing the project management plan. The project planning begins with developing the project management plan, and this document is not just a schedule or a checklist. It is a comprehensive blueprint that integrates all subsidiary plans into one unified roadmap. It defines how the project will be executed, monitored, and controlled. The plan outlines methodologies, governance, structure, communication frameworks, and many more. A well-developed project management plan ensures alignment across the teams, stakeholders, and it becomes the primary reference document throughout the project lifecycle and provides clarity on how decisions will be made. So let's talk about establishing baselines, scopes, schedules, and cost. Now, once the project management plan is created, baselines must be established. A baseline represents the approved reference point against the performance which is measured. Next is defining governance and approval workflows. Now, planning also requires defining governance and approval workflows. Now, governance clarifies who has decision-making authority, who approves changes, and how escalations are handled. Clear workflow prevent delays and confusion, and they ensure that decisions follow structured path rather than informal discussions. Defining project boundaries and acceptance criteria, what is included, excluded, and what is acceptable. Then we've got the scope management and creation of WBS, which is the work breakdown structure, decomposing deliverables into manageable work packages. The scope management ensures that the project includes all the required work and excludes unnecessary work, clearly defining project boundaries, preventing scope creep. Acceptance criteria must be documented so stakeholders understand what constitutes completion. A work breakdown structure decomposes deliverables into smaller manageable work packages, breaking down work into structured components, improving clarity, assignment of responsibility, and cost estimation. Ensuring alignment with stakeholder expectations. Scope must always align with stakeholder expectation, validation sessions, workshops, and approval, which ensures that the defined scope reflects actual needs. Misalignment at this stage often results in rework and dissatisfaction later. Mapping activities and dependencies, schedule planning translates scope, timeline. Activities are identified, sequenced logically, and connected through dependencies. Next, you can also use CPM to determine the critical path. The CPM, which stands for Critical Path Method, identifies the sequence of activities that directly determines project duration. Tasks on the critical path have zero float, meaning delays in these tasks delay the entire project. Understanding the critical path allows the project manager to focus attention where it matters the most. It highlights priorities and enables proactive management of schedule risk. You can also apply PERT to uncertain activities duration. Program PERT, which stands for Program Evaluation and Review Technique. It is used when activity durations are uncertain. It uses optimistic, pessimistic, and most likely estimates to calculate expected duration. This probabilistic approach improves forecasting accuracy in complex or innovative projects where precise timing is difficult to predict. Then you've got Gantt charts, right? The Gantt charts provide a very visual representation of the project schedule. They display tasks along a timeline timelines showing start and end dates, dependencies, progress. Visual tools improve communication, and it will help stakeholders quickly understand schedule status. Gantt charts are widely used because they simplify complex timelines into accessible format. Then we've got cost estimation budgeting, bottom-up, analogous, and parametric estimation methods. Now, different estimation techniques are applied depending on the available data and project complexity. Bottom-up estimation calculates cost by summing detailed work package estimates. Analog estimation uses historical data from similar project. And parametric estimation, it applies statistical models to predict the cost, choosing the right estimation technique, improving accuracy and reducing budget risk. Then we've got establishing cost baseline and funding requirements. Now, after the estimating cost, a cost baseline is established, and this baseline defines the approved budget against which spending will be monitored. Funding requirements must be determined to ensure financial resources are available when needed. Then we've got resource planning and allocation. The resource planning identifies the human, material, and equipment resource required for execution. This basically ensures that the right skills are available at the right time. Resource allocation balances workloads to prevent burnout or underutilization. Effective planning increases efficiency and it supports productivity. You can also use resource histograms and RACI metrics. Resource histograms basically visualizes resources and allocation over time. Highlighting over allocations or gaps, RACI metrics clarify roles by identifying who is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed for each task. Now, these tools enhance clarity and reduces confusion regarding ownership. Resolving resource conflicts and optimizing utilization. Resolving resource conflict and optimization using the balance workloads to avoid bottlenecks. The conflicts arise when multiple tasks compete for limited resources. Planning involves identifying these conflicts early and resolving them through reallocation, prioritization, or scheduling adjustment. Next, let's talk about the quality management planning, setting quality standards and metrics. Quality planning defines standards and metrics for acceptable performance. It ensures that deliverables meet stakeholders' expectation, planning quality assurance and quality control activities, which prevents defect rather than correcting them later. Planning quality assurance and control activities also help you establish methods to ensure and verify quality. So let's talk about some risk management planning and mitigation strategies. Risk planning involves identifying potential threats, opportunities, analyzing their probability and impact, and prioritizing them. Response strategies may include avoiding, mitigating, transferring, or accepting risk. A risk register documents identified risk and tracks them throughout the project. Now, building risk response strategies will basically allow you to avoid, mitigate, transfer, accept, as I told you before. And creating a risk register and monitoring approach will help you create document risk and track them throughout the project. Communication and change management plans. Now, communication planning defines how information flows within the project. It basically outlines who communicates what, when, and through which channels. Structured communication prevents misunderstandings. Change management planning establishes formal process for reviewing and approving changes. Establishing change control processes and approval path will basically help you formalize how changes are reviewed and approved. Now let's talk about procurement and contract planning. Now, some projects require external vendors. Procurement planning determines what should be outsourced and prepares the necessary documentation. Contract type may include fixed price, cost reimbursement, or time and material agreements. So as I told you before, how you can evaluate contract types based on fixed price, cost reimbursable, T&M, choosing the contract forms based on risk and scope clarity. Now, vendor selection criteria must be clearly defined to ensure fairness and transparency. Strong procurement planning reduces contractual disputes and strengthens partnership. So this is really important. Next, it's time to move on to our 7th module, which talks about scheduling, estimating, and PMP formulas. So in this module, we will focus on the analytical side of project management. So let's talk about the importance of time, cost, and performance calculation. The project success depends heavily on understanding the relationship between time, cost, and performance earned value management, or EVM. Now, while leadership and communications are critical, numbers drive decision. Making PMP formulas allow project managers to measure performance, forecast outcomes, and make informed decisions. These formulas are especially important in predictive environments where schedule and cost control are monitored. Without measurement, management becomes guesswork. Formulas transform data into actionable intelligence. Next, let's talk about the importance of time, cost, and performance calculation. Project success depends heavily on understanding the relationship between time, cost, and performance. Earned value management, or EVM, is a powerful framework that integrates scope, schedule, and cost into one performance measurement system. It introduces three fundamental metrics, which is planned value, earned value, and actual cost. Now, by comparing these values, project managers can calculate performance indices that reveals whether the project is ahead or behind the schedule and under or over the budget. So let's talk about the importance of network diagrams and critical path analysis. Now, network diagrams visually represent task sequences and dependencies. They allow project managers to map activities logically and understand how tasks interact with each other. Now, resource leveling and schedule compression. Now, resource leveling addresses over-allocation and workload imbalances. Now, when the resources are assigned to too many tasks simultaneously, performance suffers. Leveling helps smoothen workloads by adjusting schedules to match resources availability. Scheduling compression techniques such as crashing and fast tackling are used when deadlines must be shortened. Next, we've got sensitivity analysis and forecasting methods. So this approach helps project managers understand which factors have the greatest impact on schedule and cost. Forecasting formulas such as estimate of completion, estimate to complete, and variance of completion provide forward-looking insights. Estimate at completion predict the total project cost based on the current performance, and estimate to complete calculates the remaining cost required to finish the project. Variance completion forecasts the difference between the planned and expected final cost. So these metrics support proactive decision making rather than just reactive problem solving. Now it's time to move on to our 8th module where we will talk about investment analysis and procurement. So first, let's talk about cost, benefit, and investment appraisal. So before a project even begins, organization must determine whether it's financially viable. Investment analysis evaluates whether the expected benefits justify the cost. Tools such as net present value, internal rate of return, and return on investment help access financial feasibility. Net present value calculates the present value of future cash flows. Long-term gains exceed initial investment. Internal rate of return measures the profitability percentage of a project. Return on investment, which is ROI, compares total benefits of the total cost. Now, these financial indicators support strategic decision making by answering a very critical question: should we proceed with this project or not? Investment appraisal ensures that resources are allocated to initiatives that generate sustainable value. So first we have make or buy analysis in invest and procurement. Now, organizations often face decisions about whether to produce internally or outsource externally. So make or buy analysis evaluates the cost, capability, time constraint, risk exposure, and strategic alignment. Producing internally, which may provide greater control and protect intellectual property, but it may require significant resources and time. Now, outsourcing may reduce cost or accelerate timelines, but it introduces dependency or external vendors. So now it's time to talk about the procurement management process. Procurement management ensures the external goods or services are acquired effectively. The process begins with procurement planning, which defines what must be sourced and clarifies scope requirements. This is followed by vendor solicitation, where proposals are requested and evaluated. Contract negotiation establishes terms, deliverables, pricing structure, and performance expectation. Then we've got contract types and vendor selection in procurement. Selecting the appropriate contract type is critical in risk allocation. Fixed price contracts transfer cost risk to the vendor and are suitable when scope is clearly defined. Cost reimbursable contracts are used when the scope is uncertain, allowing flexibility but retaining financial risk within the organization. Time and material contracts combine elements of both and are often applied in dynamic environments. Talking about vendor selection, which involves establishing evaluation criteria such as cost, experience, and technical capability, financial stability, and past performance. Let's talk about legal, ethical, and compliance consideration. Procurement must comply with legal, regulatory, and ethical standards. Governance ensures adherence to contracts, audits, and compliance requirements. Ethical sourcing practices promote transparency, fairness, and responsibility to use the resources. Intellectual property and sensitive data. Maintaining integrity in procurement decisions, strengthening organizational reputation, and stakeholder trust. So guys, now it's time to move on to our ninth module where we will talk about monitoring, controlling and performance management. First, let's talk about the monitoring versus controlling process. Monitoring and controlling are often mentioned together, but they are not the same. Monitoring involves tracking project performance and collecting data to understand progress. It focuses on measuring scope, completion, schedule adherence, cost, expenditure, and quality metrics. When monitoring reveals deviations from the plan, controlling implements corrective or preventive measures. Monitoring answers the question, where are we now? Controlling answers the question that what should we do about it? Together, these processes ensure that the project remains aligned with objectives throughout the life cycle. Now let's talk about the baseline management, talking about the scope, schedule, and cost. Baseline management is central to performance control. So the scope baseline defines what work is approved, the scheduled baseline defines when work should be completed, and the cost baseline defines the authorized budget. During execution, actual performance is compared against these baselines. Variances are identified and analyzed to determine their root causes. If performance deviates significantly, corrective actions may include resource reallocation, schedule adjustment, or scope revisions. Baseline provide measurable reference point. Without them, performance management becomes subjective rather than data-driven. Then we've got key performance indicators and performance dashboards. This translates the project objective into measurable metrics. Common KPIs include schedule variance, cost variance, earned value metrics, quality detect rates, resource utilization levels. Performance dashboards visually represent these metrics in real time, enabling stakeholders to quickly access project health. And dashboard will enhance transparency and support faster decision making. Then we have risk monitoring and issue tracking. Continuous risk monitoring is essential throughout execution. Existing risk must be reassessed regularly and new risk must be identified as conditions change. Maintaining an updated risk register ensures visibility. Issue tracking differs from issue tracking because issues represent events that have already occurred. Now, an issue log documents these occurrences, assigns ownership, and tracks resolution status. Next, we've got the integrated change control process. Now, projects inevitably face change, scope adjustment, schedule shift, and cost revisions that are very common in dynamic environment. Integrated change control provides a very structured approach to review and approve changing requests. Each request must be evaluated for its impact on scope, schedule, cost, quality, and risk. Change control boards or designated authorities review and approve or reject proposals based on alignment with project objectives. Next, we've got performance reporting and escalation. Performance reporting communicates project status to stakeholders at defined intervals. Reports may include progress, summaries, variance analysis, forecast updates. Clear reporting builds confidence and supports transparency. Now, when performance issues exceed predefined thresholds, escalation procedures are triggered. Escalation ensures that these critical concerns receive attention from higher level governance bodies or sponsors. Structured reporting and escalation maintain accountability and it will help you reinforce disciplined management. Perfect. Now we move on to module 10 where we will talk about the project closure and all the lessons that we have learned now. So we have got administrative and contractual closure concepts. Project closure begins with formal administrative and contractual activities. This stage ensures that all the projects worked has been completed according to the agreed scope and that documentation is finalized. Contracts with vendors must be reviewed to confirm that obligations have been fulfilled. Payments are settled, compliance requirements are met, and procurement documentation are archived. Administrative closure protects the organization legally and financially. Now, a critical step in closure is to formal handover of deliverables. The final output must be transferred to the customer, operational team, or the end users. Acceptance criteria defined during planning are verified to ensure that requirements have been satisfied. Formal sign-off confirms that stakeholders acknowledge completion. Now, this step prevents future disputes and whether expectations were met or not. Then you have the final performance evaluation. Now, once the deliverables are accepted, a final performance evaluation is conducted where the actual results are compared against the original scope, schedule, cost, and quality baselines. The variances are also analyzed to understand why the deviations occurred. This evaluation basically determines whether the project objectives were achieved and whether benefits were realized as expected. The reviewing performance strengthens organizational maturity by identifying both strengths and weaknesses in execution. Now let's talk about the lessons learned and documentation. Capturing lessons learned is one of the most valuable components of closure. The teams reflect on what worked well and what could be improved. These insights are documented systematically to support continuous improvement. Lessons learned prevent repeated mistakes and reinforce best practices. They should be honest, constructive, and solution-focused. Effective documentation transforms individual experience into organization knowledge. Archiving and knowledge management. So now this basically ensures that archiving ensures that the project documents, report, risk registers, contract, and performance data are stored securely for future reference, maintaining organized records, support audits, compliance check, and future planning effort. Celebrating success and team recognition. Project closure should be recognized team effort and achievement. Celebrating success reinforces morale and acknowledges contribution. Recognition motivates team members and encourages engagement in future initiatives. Positive closure strengthens team culture and builds long-term commitment. Now it's time to move on to our module 11, where we will see the agile, hybrid, and the modern approaches. So let's take a look of the agile values and principles here. The modern project environments demand flexibility, speed, and continuous value delivery. Agile approaches emerge to address the limitations of rigid upfront planning. Agile basically emphasizes on customer collaboration, incremental delivery, and responsiveness to change. Talking about the core values of Agile, so it basically prioritizes human interaction and collaboration as more effective than rigid documentation and rigid process. Next is working software over comprehensive documentation, which basically emphasizes on creating functional products quickly rather than spending excessive time writing detailed specifications. So this approach reduces uncertainty and provides tangible progress indicators. Then we have customer collaboration over contract negotiation, which focuses on continuous engagement with the customer to ensure that rather than just strictly adhering to a very fixed contract. Collaboration builds trust and ensures that the final product reflects real user requirements rather than outdated assumptions. Then we've got responding to change over following a plan. Now, value flexibility and the ability to adapt new requirements over sticking to a very rigid and a predefined plan. This flexibility provides competitive advantage, particularly in fast-moving industries where innovation cycles are short. Then we've got satisfying the customer. This is the highest priority in Agile, which is satisfying customer. Delivering variable increments frequently allows stakeholders to see progress and provide feedback. Continuous delivery enhances transparency and alignment. Then is welcoming changing requirements. Agile teams accept the requirements that may evolve even late in development. So instead of just viewing change as disruption, they treat it as refinement. Then we have delivering work software frequently. Short development cycles, often called iterations or sprints, allow team to produce results within weeks rather than just months. So frequent delivery reduces the risk and increases stakeholder confidence. Work together daily. Businesses, stakeholders, and technical teams collaborate closely throughout the project. Daily communication strengthens understanding and accelerates decision-making. Then we have building projects around motivated individuals. Agile basically help you trust teams to self-organize and take the ownership of their work. Providing autonomy and support empowers individuals to perform at its best. Motivation drives productivity more effectively than strict supervision. Then we have face-to-face communication. Direct communication is often the most efficient method of exchanging information, whether it's in person or via video conferencing. Real-time dialogue reduces misunderstanding, and it will also help improve the clarity. Then we have working software, which is a very primary measure. So this is only a true indicator of a progress, which is a functional product here. Maintaining a constant pace is also important, where all the processes promote sustainable development, allowing sponsors, developers, and users to maintain steady pace indefinitely. Continuous attention to technical excellence. Constantly striving to good decision and technical quality will enhance your agility. Simplicity is also important. The art of maximizing the amount of work, not not done is crucial, but to avoid unnecessary complexity. Self-organizing teams. So what basically happens in self-organizing team is that this is the best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from teams that manage their own work. And this is really important. Then you should also regularly reflect and adjust. Now, teams should regularly tune and adjust their behavior based on lessons learned in retrospective. So let's talk about some of the frameworks. The first one we've got here is the Scrum framework. Now, Scrum is one of the most widely used Agile frameworks, and it operates in fixed length iterations called sprint, typically lasting 2 to 4 weeks. Scrum defines specific roles such as product owner, Scrum master, and development team. It includes structured events like sprint planning, daily stand-ups, sprint reviews, and retrospective. Scrum emphasizes transparency, inspection, and adaptation. Then we've got the Kanban framework. It focuses on workflow visualization and continuous delivery. Work items move across columns such as to do, in progress, and done. Limiting work in progress improves flow and reduces bottlenecks. Then we have Lean framework. Now, Lean aims to maximize customer value by eliminating waste. Waste may include unnecessary process, delays, excess inventory, or overproduction. Lean emphasizes continuous improvement and optimization of the value stream. Then you have the hybrid project management. Hybrid approaches combining the predictive and agile elements. Now, some projects require structured upfront planning along with a flexible iterative development. Hybrid models allow organizations to balance governance with adaptability. Then we've got the waterfall agile hybrid. So in this approach, projects begin with a very well-structured planning similar to the waterfall method. Now, once the requirements are defined, development shifts to agile execution. This model provides stability in planning while maintaining flexibility in delivery. Then we have the reverse hybrid method. The reverse hybrid begins with agile exploration and prototyping. So after validating concept, it transitions to structured waterfall process for formal testing and deployment. Then we've got the blended hybrid mode. Then complex project, different teams may use different methodologies simultaneously. For example, software development may follow Scrum, while hardware implementation follows Waterfall. So each component uses the approach best suited for its nature. Then we've got the adaptive planning. Adaptive planning basically acknowledges the long-term predictions that are often inaccurate, and plans are therefore living documents that adjust frequently based on the feedback and market changes. Then we have got the iterative delivery here as well. So basically, iterative delivery will break down into smaller cycles. Each iteration produces incremental improvement, and the structure will allow frequent inspection and adaptation, reducing risk and increasing stakeholder engagement. Then we've got the agile tools and metrics here. So agile tools like Jira, Trello, Asana facilitate visualization, collaboration, and tracking. Metrics such as velocity, cycle time, burnout down charts, measure performance, and support transparency. Scaling in large organization or scaling agile extends agile principles from single teams to the enterprise level to align multiple teams around shared strategic goals. So here we've got frameworks like the Scaled Agile Framework, SAFE, LESS, which stands for Large Scale Scrum, and Scrum at Scale provides structure for coordination across many teams, providing structured methods for enterprise level alignment. Now it's time to move on to our 12th module, where we will talk about project management tools, techniques, and digital platforms. Let's talk about the software tools in planning and execution here. So we've got the MS Project, which is used for scheduling, Gantt charts, and resource allocation. Jira, which is used for agile boards, sprints, and backlog management. Then we have Trello and Asana, which are used for task tracking and team workflows. We also have ClickUp, which is used for integrated planning, documentation, and automation. I'm sure you guys must have heard about all of these digital platforms and the tools here. Next, we've got collaboration and reporting tools. We are using Miro for visual brainstorming, mapping, Ideathon. Then we use Confluence for documentation, knowledge hubs, project wikis, Power BI for dashboard, KPIs, performance analytics. Moving on to core project management techniques. Here we've got WBS templates, which are used for decomposing work into manageable components. Then we have RACI charts, which are used for clarifying roles, responsibilities. Then we have dashboards for tracking scope, schedule, cost. Then we have automation, AI, analytics, and modern PM. So automation and artificial intelligence are transforming project management, as we know. Automated workflows manage the reminders, approvals, and status updates without manual intervention. Now, AI-driven forecasting will predict the risk, delays, and resource needs based on historical patterns. Predictive analytics is used for decision-making and value optimization. Next, we have got the 13th module where we will finally discuss about the professional conduct, ethics and PMP preparation. So let's talk about the PMI's code of ethics and the professional conduct here. The core values, which includes responsibility, respect, fairness, honesty. So basically, these of the core values will guide ethical project behavior. They will support sound decisions, prevent conflicts of interest, and it will also uphold professional integrity. Then we've got the considerations here, which is the ESG. E stands for environmental, S stands for social, and G stands for governance. So in environmental, we've got climate stability, waste management. Social, we've got diversity, human capital management, and governance, we've got the risk management, transparency. So integrating ESG considerations into project decisions and promoting ethical resources, use of reduced waste, and it also helps in balancing business goals with long-term community and social impact. Talking about the PMP certification overview and eligibility. So point number 1 is to basically focus on people, process and business environment, education plus experience criteria for eligibility, required project hours and training prerequisites. Then we've got the application process here, the PMP application process to the PMI portal, and then you have the audit process and the required documentation. Next, you've got 180 questions here, domain breakdown and time limits. You've also got multiple choice question, hotspot, drag and drop, and scenario-based questions, overview of exam score and re-examination policies. So now you have just taken an important step into discipline that drives industries, organization, and global transformation. Project management isn't about controlling people. It's about aligning vision, structure, and execution. It's more about turning ideas into measurable outcomes. Now, as you move through this course, don't rush. Focus on understanding how each concept connects to the bigger picture. Project management is just like building a system. Every piece matters. So if this session helped you, feel free to like, comment, and share your thoughts in the comment section below. Tell us which module excited you the most and which topic you want more clarity on. That's it, guys. Thank you and keep learning with Simplilearn.